me go live. I'm hoping it did. Not yet. Okay, well, I'll stop being quiet. I'll just assume that if you're not here yet, you're going to be here really soon. I don't know why it's, oh, it says I'm connected. All right, that's cool. All right, good. So tonight we are going to be talking about a simple SVG and design space. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about and you've never heard of that before, well, I'm glad that you're here. And if you are like a lot of the places that you go to on Facebook, your feed's probably been filled with a whole lot of scrapbooking, news, updates, some people being really sad, some people just angry. One of our beloved companies has decided that it's time to close the door. And that's close to my heart, which is not, I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator, but I have been a close to my heart demonstrator several times throughout the years. I do like their product, and they have decided that they are no longer going to be a direct sales company, which means it does make it hard for people that's what they were using. I have to kind of give close to my heart credit for one of the reasons that I came up with using my Cricut, and a simpler way to scrapbook was the directions in a close to my heart kit. It was things like it would give you a sheet of paper and you had to cut all these little squares and all these little 1/4 inch piece, and then it had a diagram with like 1 inch down and 2 inches over, and you had to measure. And I thought, this is math and I don't want to do math. So I don't like it. I didn't like it when I was in high school, and I sure don't like it now. So, okay, good. I see that we're on Facebook. I'm going to close that down so it doesn't make my system go slow. And I decided that there had to be an easier way. And I grabbed my handy dandy Cricut that has always been a staple in what I do. I've been teaching Cricut classes for years and years and years, way back to the baby bug days. And I thought, well, Cricut can do this. We can get Cricut to do it. And Scrapbook Simples were created. They're an SVG that are basically a combination between photo mats and, I'm looking down because I have one here. They're a cross between a photo mat and a layout, like a sketch that you would have on a page. They don't look like much of anything when you look at them like this. They look a little wonky. But once we get going, you will see that they actually make, hey, Susan, they actually make a really simple layout. So because I love them and I have classes that share them, I also have a membership. So I've posted a ton of information about what I'm using, the paper that I'm using. You can use anything you want. You don't have to use what I use. Let me bring you in here for a minute. I have, if you go to karamiller.com, which you'll see that on the screen, you will see, this is my page. And when you see the classroom, if you click on that, it will bring you right here. If you think this is the coolest thing I've ever done and I really want to keep doing it, come on in and join our membership. We do this every month. It's not on YouTube. Shoot. Okay, well, that's annoying. It says it is, but I don't know where it's going. Let me see if I can find it over here. I need like a techie person running in the background to to help us do it. I need like tech support here to run and figure out where it is. Tammy, are you seeing us on Facebook? See, it says it is live, but yeah, it's there. I see it live. Oh, you know what? You have to look when you're on YouTube. You have to look it's not just going to show up in my videos. It's going to be down in the, you'll see a place where it says live, and it should be there. Oh, I don't think you can, Susan. I don't think you can comment on YouTube. All right, cool. Well, we'll do the best we can. There's another option, and I haven't figured it out yet. There's a way that I can do this in the classroom too, but let's not push it. Facebook works for me. That's the problem. And the system that I use works really, really good. You searched my name on YouTube and then found it? Okay. Well, one of these days we'll sit and play until we figure that out. But for now, at least we have it here. Okay, good. And I am recording everything, and it will be in the classroom. So a couple things. Let me just help you find your way around. Here's the classroom. If you want to find your way here, check it out. Tonight is the end of Salebration at Stampin' Up. So if there was stuff that you were thinking, ooh, I should probably check that out. I got time, right? No, you don't. It's done after tonight. Salebration is for every $50 you spend, you get a free thing. So if there's all different kinds of options. And then the one other thing that's ending tonight, and I know a couple of you have already emailed me, if you're going to join as a demonstrator so that you get the discount, tonight's the night, the last night, that lets you get this super cool glass mat when you sign. I love this mat. It's my colors, guys. So anyway, there's that. But for now, let's look at the store. So go to Simple SVGs and make sure that you have the free SVG that I'm sharing and working with tonight. It's right there. Okay? Yeah, absolutely, Tammy. It will be recorded and I will upload it later for you. So make sure that you get that one. And here's the trick. When you're working with these SVGs, you'll add it to the bag. It will give you a link to download. You save that to your computer. The trick is where. You have to remember where you saved it. Gosh, I keep getting a frog in my throat. Every computer's a little bit different, so I don't know where yours wants to save it, but make sure that you remember. And then you're going to head into Design Space. Okay? Now, your Design Space might look a little bit different than mine. I turn off my grid. You can turn it back on with this little tiny square in the left corner. I just find it just adds too much. I like it nice and clean. If you hit it again, it makes it even crazier. It gives you a tinier grid, but I like no grid, but it's your call. That's one thing about Design Space. There's probably 2 or 3 ways to do every single thing. I think that's how it gets confusing. So I try not to show all of them to you. I show you the way I do it, but there's other ways and those aren't wrong. They're just different. I have downloaded that SVG from the store to my computer. I don't have to unzip them. Sometimes when you download SVGs from other places, it will come in a zipped file, which is a compressed file. Mine aren't. They're easy to open. So I'm going to go to upload. I'm going to remember where I saved it, upload it, browse. I'm browsing my computer. I'm looking at my computer to see where it is. And I'm going to click on it and I'm going to say open. That's what it looks like. Now I named this, this was going to be a Zoom. It's not zooming anymore. So it was named a Zoom Simple, but that's not what it is. And it doesn't matter how I'm sharing it with you. That's a whole nother story. Technology was not my friend today. Tags. Notice it says optional. These are keywords, things that you might search later in Design Space to help you find this. So I would definitely call it a simple. I would say scrapbook. You kind of have to spell it right or it won't find it the next time. and then say upload. You don't have to do that. This is the only time you can do that. Once you've uploaded it, you're going to click on it and you're going to add it to the canvas. Now it brings it in. Now it's time to work with it. Every single time you bring in an SVG, it comes in at the appropriate size. You don't have to do anything about sizing. I am going to zoom out a little so that you can see the whole thing. But it comes in grouped, which means everything's all humble jumble in a pile. And I like to take everything apart, kind of spread it all out, see what I'm working with. Kind of like when you go to put a puzzle together. Spread the pieces out and figure out what it is. So I'm going to click up here and ungroup, sorry, ungroup. But now if I just come back and grab it, it still appears grouped. If I click off and then click back, it will be undone, okay? Let me go back and show you that for a minute. All right, so it's grouped, right? I come up and I ungroup. I click anywhere else on the space, in the white space. Now it's undone. Now I have two to work with. And now I'm going to take this one apart, and you're thinking, well, what is that? That seems weird. And it's all kind of grouped, but you've got more layers over here. We need to ungroup this again. So we're going to ungroup now. And we're going to, oh, see under here? These are the sizes. Somehow they got moved to the back, but that's okay. We can see them. These are the sizes of the photos, all right? To bring things to the front so that it's not underneath those, come up to arrange and say bring to front. Now I can see the sizes of my photos, and we'll talk about those in a minute. Those are the photo mats that go under your photo. This is a shadow layer because I like double mats on my photos, but maybe you don't. Maybe you don't need that one. In this particular instance, what we're going to do tonight, you are going to want that. Now, these sizes are only really helpful when you go to put the photos together. You don't really need them. Another little tidbit about Design Space, anytime you bring a file in that's been created somewhere on a different software, all the layers are cut layers. See them? That's great, except I don't want to cut those letters because that's not going to help me. Those sizes don't need to be cut out. They're just there to help me know what sizes I need. Again, here's where two options are possible. One, I can simply come up here. See, that's the layer with the sizes. Click on the eyeball. Now, they didn't delete them. They just hid them. They just closed your eye to them. You don't see them. Another option is to click on them. Make sure you've selected the sizes and change it from a cut layer to a guide layer. Now, what that does is it tells Cricut it's a guide. I don't need to cut it. We're not going to worry about it. But the only difference with guide is I need to be sure that I attach them together. Because if I don't, when I go away, when I move these, they don't stay with them. All right? So I'm going to come back. For the purpose of tonight, I'm just going to turn them off. We can turn them back on later. But I wanted you to see what you could do with them. So we turned off all sizes, all right? There were two layers of them. This one is these guys. This talks about two different photos and a journal. I'm going to turn those off too for right now. All right. So this is the background layer of page 2, right? I want these guys to stay together for right now, so I'm going to select them and I'm going to regroup them. All that does is keep them together here on this page. It doesn't do anything to how they cut out. It doesn't change them. It just keeps them on this designing mat where I can move them around and they stay together. This is the one we want to work on. And I want to show you what we're going to do with it. We are going to take the simple and we are going to make it our own. We're going to add a title to it. The beauty of working with these is that, again, it tells you where to put it on the page. I'll move that computer out of the way when we get to actually working down here. But this is what we're going to work on, okay? All right, so let me bring you back into Design Space, nice and big so you can see it. And I'm going to move you right over here out of my way. I'm going to take you and I'm going to ungroup this one now. Now I have the top layer, that's the white layer, and this is to journal on. I'm going to move both of those guys over here out of my way. This is that shadow layer. This is what I'm going to attach my title to. Okay, sure it is. But I also have to figure out, where am I going to put that? Well, I'm going to put it on a 12 by 12 piece of either designer series paper or cardstock. All right, so again, I'm actually designing here in Design Space. I'm going to go get myself a shape. I'm going to grab that. I'm going to change it to 12 by 12 in the size right here. I'm going to change the color. And I'm going to send this to the back behind what we were just working on. Send it to the back. So now this is on the bottom. This is on my desk first. And then this is next, this next one, okay? The shadow layer. All right. So now I'm ready for my title. And I want a title that's going to fit in here somewhere. I'm going to go find a Cricut image that works. So I'm going to go to Images, and I'm going to browse all images. And I said, I think I want a title, right? All right, so I'm going to come down here to where it says phrases. I'm going to click on a phrase because I don't just want pictures, which is what Images gives me everything. I want to narrow this down to I want a phrase. Cricut's going to think about it. And it's going to give me phrases. There are 262,000 phrases in the Cricut library. I could be here a while. I'm going to put up here, March into spring, because I have some spring-ish photos. They're not your traditional, but I tend to let my photos lead what this page is going to be. I should have shown you my photos before, but I'll show them to you in a minute. And you might notice that this is the bee that I really liked. It says, "Wake up, spring is coming." And I thought that was kind of appropriate for what's going on here in Vermont these last few days. We had beautiful weather 2 days ago. Last night, the wind blew like crazy, knocked down a section of our fence, took out some trees, no damage, but in the woods. And this morning it was 12 degrees. So I'm going to go with the wishful thinking that spring is coming. So I'm going to take that one. I like it. This little scissor tells me this is a cut layer, and I'm thinking, okay, I don't know, Cricut. Let me look at that. Add it to my canvas. I'm going to bring it on in. Cricut thinks about it for a minute, and in it comes. All right. So let's move these guys down a little. Let's take a peek at this. Like I said, you want to take things apart. You want to see, what are you getting into? Well, look over here. I have the layer with the yellow part of the bee. If I just turn it off, I don't have to move anything. What's this layer? This layer is the words. Whoops. That's the black layer. And then the little hearts. Okay? All right, well, that's all great, grand, and wonderful. But let me do this again. If I cut that out, that means that each of those itty bitty little pieces has to be cut out, including that skinny font, and I somehow have to glue it down somewhere on my page, right? Well, if I'm just working with a 12 by 12 sheet, I don't really know where it's going to go or how I'm going to do it. Okay, so what we're going to do, we are going to take this and we are going to give it an offset. Some of you might be thinking, could I do the sticker? Yes, you could. That's a different option. And I will tell you that's one, only available to people that have access. And two, it's in beta. That means it's in test. Likely to have glitches. So for tonight, I don't want any glitches. And you will hear me say this often. If you are new to Design Space, stick with Cricut images, stick with Cricut fonts, stick with tried and true paper that you know works. Don't go to Michael's or Joann's and buy the 5 for $1 paper and wonder why it didn't work with a blade that you don't know how old it is. If you haven't used your Cricut in a while, you're going to want a sharp blade, you're going to want a new blue mat, and you're going to want good paper. For me, that's Stampin' Up paper. Close to my heart cardstock is really good. Cricut cardstock is really good. Basil's beautiful, but it's a little soft. It's okay for big, boxy, like it would be fine for simples, but for something like this, you're more likely to tear. So, just a little aside to what you're choosing. Okay, I got off on paper, sorry. I get excited about paper. So before we get too far ahead, we want to get this the right size. So bring this baby up. And I want to see, is this going to fit here the way it is? I really don't have to do much to it. It's a good size. I can see it. It's almost 5 by 5. Pretty good. I could make it a little bit smaller if I wanted, because I'm not going to cut this out. I'm going to print this. Yeah. But first, all right, so that's the size I want. Move you guys out of my way for now. I want you, and I want to put a little offset around it. And if you zoom in, let's start with the zoom in so that you can see it and hit offset. You can see that there ends up, it's a light blue line around it. That's what's going to be the offset. That's a little big. I don't really like that. I want it a little bit smaller. So I'm going to come in here and shrink that down a little and see, how does that look? Oh, that's too small. A little bit bigger. I promise you, Design Space is what you see is what you get. That looks pretty good. I like it. I'm going to say apply. And it's going to freak me out because it's going to be black. What? That's okay. I can change the color. Click up here. Change it back to white. All right, cool. So there's my offset. But this is still a cut. I need to change that. I'm going to do 2 steps though. I'm going to take this little bugger and move it over here. I'm going to do one more offset. Only smaller. I'm going to do it a little bit smaller than what we had. I'm going to say apply. It's going to be black. I'm going to come up here and change it to white. So now I've created 2 offsets. You can simply select these 2 babies together, come over here and tell Cricut flatten, which takes all these layers together and turns them into one. And now Cricut's going to cut that out. It's going to print it through your printer. We're going to do that and then cut it out. But again, let me bring you back in here for a second. Look at this one that I did. See those little tiny spaces that showed up before? I have to pick those out, and they're really hard to work with. So let me show you one more quick trick, probably more than you want to know. See how that is? I'm going to take this before I flatten it. I'm going to move you over here. I'm going to take this. It's still a cut layer. And notice now contour is an option. Click on contour. Tell Cricut hide all of them. And then click off. Look what it did. Oh, shoot. I wasn't showing you any of those things. Hold on. Goodness, I hate it when I do that. Okay, we're back. Pretend I wasn't talking for a second. See all those little itty bitty pieces? Okay, take this, slide it over. I know, I'm really sorry. I went back and I'm doing it again. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't be hopping around. So I move that over. Now I have this mess. Click on it. It's still a cut. Come down here to contour. Click on it. Tell it, hide all the contours. Click off, and look at that. They're all gone. Now, bring this baby back. I want to make sure it's right in the middle where it should be. So select both of them together. And you're going to go to align, and you're going to say center. Now they're right where they belong. I'm going to, again, select both of those. I have all these itty bitty parts and the white offset, and I'm going to say flatten. So now Cricut's going to do some work with this in a minute. But I've got this to deal with, and what I want to do with that is know where I'm going to put it on my actual layout. Bring you down, blow you back up a little. Okay, so here is my test 12 by 12. I'm going to bring you down where I want you to be. I'm going to bring this is the shadow to the print then cut that's coming. I'm going to make sure they overlap just a little. I'm going to take this blue one and pull it away. I'm going to select both of these, and I'm going to turn them into one. I'm going to come down to combine. Now here's a really good question. Someone asked me this the other day. Why do we now have all of these options? The difference between weld and unite. If I weld it, it's welded for good. If I unite it and then decide I change my mind, I can ununite it. Personally, I'm just so used to using weld all the time. I use weld. They both do the same thing. I'll show you what unite does. So now this is one piece that the machine is going to cut out. Let's undo for a second. Let's select both of those. And let's weld. Same thing, okay? They both do the same thing. What's different is once I've welded, I just have one layer here. When I unite, I would have two different layers still. They would still be independent units. They would cut like this, but they would be treated differently by the software. It's a little more complicated than the average person needs, so weld works great for most of what you're doing. Bring this back so that you can see, and it's weird, and it's a weird place. It's because the last thing you worked on moves to the top of the layers panel. So I want you to come to the front. Arrange, bring to front. I don't have to, but I want to see what I'm getting. Again, what you see is what you get. I want to see it before I do it. Pop this back in behind it. That looks pretty good. Where's that printed thing? Bring you down. And I want you in the front now so I can really see what this looks like. And I have that ready to go. All right. Okay. I think I'm ready to cut this little baby out. I haven't done anything with page 2, but I'm okay with that. I've done my title, my journaling piece. I'll work on that. I'll probably journal by hand. I could let Cricut do it if I wanted to, but for tonight, we're not going to. All right, if I say make, I'm going to have I have this exclamation point here. Cricut's not happy. Why isn't it happy? Because the square is 12 by 12 and Cricut can't cut 12 by 12. But remember, I just put that in there to help me. This is my guide. It's another guide. I could change this to guide and it would stay here and not bother anybody. That's kind of not very useful. Or I could just come over here and turn it off because I don't need it. I'm not going to cut it. I'm not going to cut it 12 by 12. I just needed it there. I'm going to say make. Cricut has now added this option. When you go to make something, it will say, did you want to save this? I recommend, we've just done 20 minutes worth of work here. If for some reason it drops the internet when I send it to my Cricut, or my Cricut's not connected and I have to restart, just anything can happen. It's a computer program. Go ahead and save this thing. You don't really want to lose it. You've done a lot. So say save. Watch what'll happen. Now I have Access membership, which allows me to have endless numbers of collections. If you are not an Access member, a subscriber, you would have 5. That's a Cricut rule. That's not my rule. 5 should probably do the average person, but I have thousands because I'm an overachiever and I like to sort things, but then I don't remember what I did with them. So I'm going to put these in layouts and I'm going to call it Wake Up Spring Simple. That hopefully we'll remember. All right, now I'm going to say save. And now when this little blue line goes away, it's going to send me to the cut screen. But remember I said we had to print then cut. That's what it wants to do first. I'm going to say continue. It's going to print on my printer, not a Cricut. I have to have a printer connected to this computer. It's going to cut. It's going to print. Now, I've already done that, and I don't want to mess things up with you. And sometimes if I ask my system to do one more thing, it's too much. So I'll show you that in a minute. I'm going to say I've already printed. Now I'm going to pick my base material. I pick medium cardstock always. I always cut Stampin' Up. And so I know medium cardstock works for me. You may have to decide what works for you, but that works for me. And I cut it the same whether it's designer series paper or cardstock. Someone asked me the other day, what about the thick white cardstock? And I would need to make that either more pressure or I would choose the heavy cardstock. The other setting that's really, really good if you're doing something super detailed, like if I were actually going to cut that out, I would do intricate cuts. That's another really good one for paper. But I'm doing medium cardstock. I'm going to remember it. It wants my blade. And I'm going to let Cricut go ahead and cut that out. It's going to cut it out. Then the next layer is that. Whoops, come back. Those are my photo mats. I'll show you those in a minute. This one didn't fit, Cricut said, and it wants me to do one more load of the mat. I'm sorry, I disagree, Cricut. I know it will fit. I'll find a spot for it. So I'm going to say edit. I'm going to come up here. Whoops, I have to do it a different way, sorry. I want to move it, so I'm going to say cancel for a minute. Back to this screen. So this is where we were. We were ready to cut the print. Then this one. Now this one. I'm going to say, Cricut, that's crazy town. I don't need another mat load just for that little piece. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to say move. And I look over here and I think, I bet I can get that in there somewhere. So I'm going to say that one and confirm. Now, if you don't want to argue with your Cricut, just let it do it that way. But if you want to argue and you want to feel in control, you can. Slide that down just a little bit. Bring this in. Scoochy, scoochy, that right in there. There we go. So that's all going to cut with one. Now I can say continue. It's going to connect to my maker, which might be a challenge. Oh, look at that. Medium cardstock. Remember, whatever is highlighted over here is what's going to cut. So that's the white layer. Notice I only have one now. This one. This is where I have to decide, well, what color do I want? I have gray because that's what was on the screen, but I can put any color. And then this one is going to cut as well. And we let Cricut go ahead and do the cutting. I'm not going to do that with you tonight. I'm going to show you what happens once you cut it out. So let's come down here. I'm going to move this out of our way. Maybe. Don't fall off. All right, now our Cricut Joy, because we're also doing a month of Joy cards this month, so I have all Cricuts running. Slide you over. Okay, so these are my photos that I picked to kind of help me decide. I use an HP Sprocket, which is like the Canon selfie printer. I love both of them. I was struggling with my selfie, just didn't seem to want to update to my iPhone. It was just really annoying all the time. The Sprocket works great. So these are my photos that I'm going to work with, and you're thinking, well, where are you putting these photos? Well, that's where these come in. Remember from that page I showed you, this is a 4x6, this is a 4x4, and this is a journaling space. All right? These are the other part of my system. These are your photo templates, and this is a brand new set because I wanted to show you what it looks like when you get them, if you decide you want to try this. They come, ooh, I need my Cricut pokey thing. Hold on. You know the little tool that you use to weed vinyl with Cricut? If you don't, I'll show you. It looks like this. It's a little pokey thing, like a dentist tool. And this helps you take the plastic off. The plastic comes on it so it's not all scratched as it comes in the mail to you or to me. These are just small little acrylic templates, nothing fancy schmancy, but they are sized to fit the spaces on the simples. So this is a 4x4. The actual space in the simple is 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. So you can see that when you put your photo down, you're going to get your little white border around it. I love to have it framed. In my photos, I know I don't have too many. I only have these two that are horizontal. We're really bad at taking horizontal photos in our family. So I think I'm going to use this one. The way these come, they have this little ends that you just break off. This also fits if you have them printed at CVS or Walmart. Oh, if you have the Shutterfly app, I don't know when it ends. It might even end today. Shutterfly has free photos. All the prints are free. You just have to pay shipping and handling, which isn't much at all. And someone told me, I did not go searching today, that there's a coupon for free shipping too. So check that out if you've got a lot of photos to do. Notice how that fits right there. This one is a 4x4. Now I can look at this and think, well, that's a 4x6 photo. What do you mean? But in reality, I could crop that nicely to a 4x4 and not miss anything important. So that's what these do. And now when I first came out with these and started sharing them with people, they were absolutely horror-stricken that they were going to cut their photos. But these aren't the photos that you've had, archived in an airtight safe for the last 50 years. I can just go print another one if I mess it up. I won't. But you hold this tight to the photo where you want it with one hand, long bladed shears with the other, and just cut right along the template. It's so simple. I told you I don't like to measure. There is no measuring needed. And now this photo is going to fit right there. And they go really well together. Then I can take my 12 by 12 pack. This is, let me grab it. This is one of the freebies from Salebration. This pack of paper is Sunny Days. So again, if you love this, today's the day. Grab it. I like this background paper. I'm going to pop that on. Notice this, I told you, I did not hide these things, the contour here. I also did a thing. I did this out of sticker paper, so I didn't have to glue it down. It was really a lot of work though, and it's kind of flimsy. So I don't know that I would bother. I would just do white cardstock. And I use regular basic white from Stampin' Up when my printer likes it, and I print it on that. And then I have a really cool die cut that my printer printed, and then my Cricut cut. And then I've got these, and this layout is basically done. I could add anything else I want to add to it. I can add my journaling. I could add more detail. I could put more pattern paper behind it. I am a really clean and simple scrapbooker. I don't like a lot of stuff. I want my photos to step up and be the stars of the show. So that's what I get. Now here's the other page, and I did, somewhere in my travels, I have the white spaces, but I can't find them now. They were here this morning, but they're not here now. But the same thing is going to happen over here. Only this is a 4 by 6. This is a 3 by 4, 3 by 4, and a 2 by 2. Actually, what I'm going to do is, while we're talking and we're looking at the photos, I'm going to go ahead and print and cut that one more time. Let me move you over here. I'm going to bring that out. We're going to put our white cardstock on. I'm going to let this go cut while we work on the photos so that you can see it. Something to remember when as you can see, this mat's been used and used. It's not like super sticky, super new. Use your little scoogee thingy, your scraper, and really get that paper down before you load it in. Okay? All right. I'm gonna load that in over here. I know you can't see it. I'm really sorry. It's not a way to show it. You can hear the little bugger though. It has not connected to itself though. Oh, there it is. It's ready. I tend to go with fast mode on these because they are just simple rectangles. There's nothing fancy. And let it go. All right, we're gonna let that cut for a bit. And then we can put it on here. I'm gonna take the other. Does anybody have any questions yet? I've been talking nonstop. Is there anything that I didn't show you that you wished I did, or that is making you crazy that you want to know how it works? So what happens in our membership is that every month there's at least 5 different 2-page simples for them to work on. We have our own Facebook group where we chit chat back and forth, not often about a lot of seriousness, but we sometimes do answer serious questions. And okay, we're good. The other trick, when you're going to take something off your mat, flip it over, take the mat away. Don't take the paper away from the mat. Take the mat away from the paper. And you won't have, it won't curl on you. All right, this goes over here. See how these line up? Just like this. So a couple different things that you can do when you're setting these up. Sometimes they're all attached. Sometimes just the shadow is attached, but you know where they go. Kind of like on a puzzle. You know, when you're going to put a kid's puzzle together, there's a space for everything. They're all here. And then I could stamp around it if I wanted to. I could do another, I could do something else with the bees. There's that super cute bee that is on the Be My Valentine stamp set. I love this one. I've used this one 100 times. And there's a punch that makes this cute little bee. He kind of goes with this one. Even though this is a Cricut image, this little bee kind of goes with it. So you could punch this guy and stamp and put him in different places on the page. Let's see how our photos work over here though. So we need 4 photos that kind of go along with Spring is Coming. Morty always needs to be here front and center somewhere. The kids are fishing, feeding ducks. I like both of those, although this is beautiful. Maybe I like that better than, sorry, Moritz. You might get bumped over to the next page. So again, I'm gonna just take these off. This photo really wouldn't work well if I trimmed it down. I could, I'd get a cool look if I did, but it wouldn't look quite as exciting. And by putting it on this end, it kind of ties it together. I'm not as crazy about the 2 blues, but I'll live with it. This one though is a 4x6, and I don't have another 4x6 space. I just have a 3x4. All right, well, let's take this cover off. You only have to do this when you first get them. You don't have to do it all the time. There's a link for these if you think these would be helpful to you. They don't have to be part of the membership. They come by themselves. There. And the same kind of thing, only this time I can kind of figure out, well, what do I want? Do I want the kids in the grass? Or do I want, the reason I do these in clear and don't just do a cardboard is I like to see what we're getting. This big rock is really big, obviously, is a big memory for our family. Hey, Kathy, this is a place I used to take my children camping. And now these are my grandchildren that my children are taking their children. And this big rock we talk about the big rock all the time. So I want to make sure that it's in this photo. Papa's taking them fishing. So it's not lining up like the other one did, but it's going to give me what I want. So I'm going to hold on here. And again, I'm just going to take my scissors and cut right along. Some people use an X-Acto. I would cut myself because that's too sharp for me. Some people trace it with a pencil and then put it in a trimmer. The whole reason I love this is I don't have to measure. I don't have to be precise. I just let my scissors do the work. And now this photo does not look like you lost anything. And it actually is more highlighted because it stands alone now. And I don't see all this extraneous stuff on either side. Okay, so there's that one. Same thing with the girls and the duck. Well, that's cool, but I don't really need to see the duck and that board, and the bridge is cool. Well, let's see what we can get when we take our 3x4. And it literally is this quick. And because you can always do more, you don't have to fret about it. You don't have to spend days agonizing over which photo. You're going to make the photo that you love fit the spaces that you have. It literally is this quick. And now pop you down there. And now I've got the layout on this side done as well. What am I going to put here? I can put a stamp in there. I could do another Cricut image. I could find a small photo that might look kind of cool. Sometimes you can take part of what you cut off. This one doesn't really have much. And there's a 2x2 square, which is what that size is. I don't know what I did with it. Huh, it was here before we started. Trust me, there is one. I don't know where it is, but we'll find it. And I could put that on there if I wanted. I could take my stamp. I could stamp that bee on that little piece, not use the punch, just stamp him. And I have then got my 2 layouts done. Right? Super cool. All right, you guys, I can't wait to see these layouts put together. Any questions that you have that you didn't get answered, please let me know. If you need more information about Stampin' Up or what's going on with Salebration, remember, it's tonight. It ends. It's not, you got a few more hours to go figure that out. If you want to know more about it, just go to my site, take a peek, wander around, just drop me a note. I'm usually here on Monday nights at 7 o'clock on this Facebook page and apparently in YouTube, but it doesn't let me see your comments in there. But if I'll go back and look. If anybody left me questions or emails me, I will answer you. All right. Happy scrapbooking. I'll see you soon. Bye.